the Life Biz Goals podcast. I am Latanya Sass. I am excited about my special guest today, Tanya Hicks. She owns D.E.E Loft, which is a resale online women's boutique. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I really, really am excited about our discussion for today.
I am excited too. We've been friends for several years now. It's been a long time, and
Yeah.
so I'm glad definitely to catch up with you and see and talk about the wonderful, great things that you're doing with your online business. Now, tell me a little bit about your background. Like, how did you get started? Like, were you always into fashion? Is this something from your childhood, or yeah? Tell me how that came about.
Yes. Well, growing up in New York, I was surrounded by people who basically just love to look good. From family members to friends and just people in your neighborhood. You know, you admired their style, especially the older girls. When I was like a young teenager, you always looked up to the girls that were like in their late teens or early 20s off to college, and they had their own unique style. So I just sort of picked up on that and was like, okay, well, what is my style going to be? And living in New York, it was very easy to sort of like, go to Manhattan where you would really see all the beautiful shops and boutiques. So that's how I kind of got into my own personal style and into fashion. And then how I sort of got ushered into thrifting because New York, there's some wonderful consignment and thrift stores. And of course, the famous Goodwill. So it became fun. It became like this adventure to kind of go out and scope and source merchandise that was beautiful, but yet, you know, inexpensive. So that just sort of nurtured my sort of creativity when it came to fashion and my love for fashion. And just, I never strayed away from that. It just always became a thing for me. I took pride in what I wore, how I looked when I left the house, and so that has never changed. And eventually my love for finding really good, or not say good, really beautiful pieces, again, that were inexpensive, became like this game for me. And so about 3 years ago, I met this woman in Goodwill, and she had a leather skirt. And I was like, are you going to get that leather skirt? And she was like, yes, I am. And can you stay out of my cart? And from there, we just sparked a conversation, had a discussion, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sell this to my customers." And I was like, "Oh, you have a boutique?" And she was like, "Well, it's like an online boutique." And I was intrigued by that. I was like, "What do you mean online boutique? Like as a website?" And she was like, "No, I do Facebook Lives." And I'm like, okay, I know Facebook. Who doesn't?
Mhm.
And she took the opportunity, long story short, to sort of pour into me in the Goodwill parking lot and told me, like, basically gave me the steps on
Okay.
how to get started. Just she was like, but first you need to watch. You need to be a student. So go to this, follow this platform, this page, and just watch and take notes. And from there, it took about 3 months for me to understand the whole Facebook Live shopping experience. And from there, I turned that into a business. I took that opportunity and ran with it. And so that's how D-Style Off got created. And like you mentioned, is a resale online women's boutique where I sell vintage and modern clothes, shoes, and accessories. And I absolutely love it. Especially because it's something that I've always done. So it's almost like I turned my hobby into a business, and I
Right.
love what I do. I love what I do.
Right. That's wonderful. That's one of the things I always encourage people to do. Find your right niche. Sometimes
Right.
it's already something that you're already doing. So
Absolutely.
for you, it was shopping, you know.
Mhm.
Um, and definitely you gotta definitely have a niche in Goodwill, to really pick out some good things,
Yeah.
and patience, because I don't have
Yes.
patience. I don't have patience for it. I go in there and I scream. It's kind of like some other retail stores, and I'm like, "It's just too much stuff in here. I can't take it. I'm out." So
And yeah,
yeah, you definitely
I
have
totally
patience.
understand.
Yeah. But I know other people too who they love it. They go in there and it's like they're on a treasure hunt.
Yes, that's what it is. It's a treasure hunt. Like I even have like a system. I shop from the floor up. And I say that because you often find things hanging or
Okay.
see the bottom of something. What's that sequin that but I wouldn't be able to see it from the top. So if people like shop from the floor up, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, yes, it does. It works for me. So yeah, there is a science, and like you said, it's definitely a treasure hunt because you find some of the most amazing pieces during the pandemic. I think a lot of people were at home, and the honest truth is that a lot of people had nothing to do but
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they were buying tons of merchandise. And so when the world sort of opened back up, it really became like treasure hunt on 10. And I was able to find like furs and vintage purses. And, with the wonderful thing of the world of the internet, you get to do Google search and you get to find out the history of an item, who made it, where it was sourced from. Like I, not too long ago, found two pieces by the legendary, oh my God, I cannot remember his name. Uh, Oh my gosh, I cannot remember his name, but he is he's now passed, the legendary designer for Dynasty.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and I didn't know that when I picked it up, but something about the quality of the suits, I was like, these have to be like really, they're well made suits. And when I researched, I was like, oh my gosh, he made the suits
Mhm.
that Alexis Carrington and, Dominique Devereaux wore for many, many years. So it's stuff like that, that you find fascinating about sort of, going out and shopping for merchandise. And then ultimately, selling it to a woman who could also feel good in it. And then you're also saving the planet by, reselling
Recycling and
pre-loved, recycling clothes. So you have all these great benefits and rewards to what I do. And I really, really love it. I really do.
right. Well, that's great. That's great. So when this lady told you how to start your business, your online business,
Mhm.
did you have any fears at first? And can you share
No,
those? Okay.
I
Okay.
didn't
You
have
just jumped
one.
in.
I jumped in, and here's why, because for many, many years prior to that encounter, I was trying to figure out my place in fashion as far as like selling it. I knew I always wanted to sell clothes because I love them. I like looking good, and I liked when my friends look good, and just seeing other women, I'm the girl that's like roll down the window. Oh my God, girl, you look so good. So my passion just became something that I wanted to share with others, but I just didn't know how to do it.
Right.
Sometimes you get a task, or your purpose is laid in your hand, but you don't really know how to bring it to life. And I really didn't. I was like, okay, well, I can do consignment, but I can't afford to open up a store because there's rent, you got to pay all these things. So I was like, I can't afford to do that. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll become a personal shopper, like just trying to find things. And they never,
So there were some
they were
thoughts
just
prior
ideas.
to meeting. So there were some
Yeah,
thoughts prior to meeting that lady about
absolutely.
doing. Okay.
And
Okay.
so when she told me what she told me, and I went home that night and started, I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I needed all these years prior. And so there was no hesitation, no fear whatsoever. None whatsoever.
So was one of the biggest things doing the resale online because of minimal resources? Was it a cheaper way to go on ahead and bring your passion to life as far as a business? Like you mentioned, opening up a consignment shop, of course, that's brick and mortar. You're going to have to
Yes.
pay the rent and all of that. So if you did it online and you already have it as a passion and you're
Mm-hmm.
already shopping anyway, you know,
Right.
resources are minimal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And especially if you already have a following, there you go.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and then on Facebook, they have these platforms that you can go on. So now you get the opportunity to increase your platform. So you go from having just people that you personally know following you on Facebook to now building a clientele. And now they're following you, and it just grows and expands, and you get to meet new people in addition to them becoming your clients. Some of them now are friends, so it was a great opportunity. And the Facebook live, there was no limitations, and that's what made it so attractive to me, was that there you have no limits. There's no permits you got to get. You don't have to build up capital or anything like that. It was just, God has literally sat this in your lap. If you don't run with it, you will be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Right. Right.
And so I literally was like, oh my gosh, I went from all these limitations to unlimited opportunities. And I stepped out on faith, and I was like, listen, I've never sold anything online before in my life. But again, I studied those who were already doing it. So I learned terminologies about clothing, and how to give a description and how to price your items, and all of those things, like what people are looking for, because what I like, my clients might not like. So paying attention to what is trending as far as fashion, what people are looking for, what sizes work, because there you got all different categories. You got people that are looking for nothing but smalls, and you have people a mixture of sizes and or plus sizes. So just trying to figure out my lane. It didn't take very long to do, and I've only been 3 years in. So, and I've accomplished some amazing things, which to me is confirmation that that encounter with that woman was God. It was all part of God's plan. I
That's
feel
wonderful.
like every time something occurs in what I'm doing now, I'm like, I get it, God. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It's
Mhm.
like He's confirming, this is confirmation, and
Yeah.
and I'm living on purpose.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah, he always, if we just tune into his voice or we take the opportunities that he provides,
Yes.
then we would miss so many blessings.
Oh my
A lot of
goodness. Yeah.
times we miss them because either we're not listening, either we think, oh, well, I can't do that, fear of the
Yes.
unknown, or just fear in general, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or just taking our time, being too slow to move.
Right.
You end up
Right.
missing great opportunities. So that's wonderful that you jump right in. Now, you mentioned Facebook platforms. Now, are there different types of Facebook platforms, or is there one specific for resale? Like, how does somebody connect with those platforms?
So there are hundreds of Facebook platforms, and we say platforms. That's what we call them, because you have, like, for us, for anyone on Facebook, you have your personal, and then some of us have a business page.
Right.
So basically, a platform is someone's business page,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they set up these platforms so that you, the reseller, can now go on, because they might have 10,000 followers. So you get the opportunity to now, for a half an hour, an hour, or maybe 2 hours, sell your merchandise to 10,000 viewers,
Wow.
whereas you might only have 1,000 followers. So, and going on different platforms allows you to expand your business. Now, you won, most likely at the end of your live, you got new friend requests from the people that watch. They liked your personality. They liked the merchandise you were selling. They enjoyed the show, even if they didn't buy anything during the live, because it may have been something that you had, but it wasn't their size. So it's a win-win opportunity. Even I've had lives where I've had two viewers, and I had to learn this because that was discouraging. You're like, oh my gosh, there's only two people on here. But I've had lives where I've had 150 viewers.
Yeah.
I made more money from 2 viewers than I did the 150 viewers. So you also learn, don't get caught up in numbers.
Right.
So don't get and you show up and show out the same way for them 2 people as you would for that 150 people or that
Right.
1,000, it doesn't matter. So you learn the business, because I've heard other resellers say, oh, I ended my live early because there was only 2 people on. That's discouraging. And I'm like, listen, there's also an opportunity for people to shop your live after it has already aired. And we refer to that as replay sales. You get to replay it on your own time. Watch, hey, is this still available? Oh, yes, it is. Okay, well, I would like to purchase that. So that's why you have to go from the time you say start to the time you say, thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. You are on point. You are selling. You're giving your best, because there are people that might watch it during the live broadcast, and there are people that might watch it after it has already aired. So these platforms just allow you to put yourself out there, to network, to build, to expand your customer base. And it's a great opportunity. And once you start following one, you know how we say, oh, the phones are listening. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's basically how it works, how platforms are started, and they're great opportunities. And some of the platforms are doing amazing things. Like Thrifting Atlanta is big. They've been on the local news. They have work very closely with the Georgia branch of Goodwill. So exciting things are happening in the reselling community. Yeah.
Right, right. And I've seen a lot of your clothing and resale style clothing, which is very nice.
Thank you.
You definitely have a great eye, of being able to pick unique items that a lot of people would really like. So I congratulate you on that. One of the things I wanted to go back to is that you mentioned about don't be discouraged by the numbers. And I
Mm,
really like that because that's really for anyone in
yes.
any business. I've been doing motivational, inspirational videos since 2018. And
Hmm.
there's been times where I may have had 26 people look.
Hmm.
You're like, you go back that same day, you go back that same week, you're like, dang, only 50 people watched it. But
Right.
okay, I'm going to still keep pushing.
Yeah.
And then you go back a year later and you got 3 or 4,000 people. You're like, okay, it might have been a year later, but hey, at least it reached some, more
Yes.
than just 26 people. But even if it
Absolutely.
is just 26 people,
Hmm.
that's 26 people that needed to hear that. So we cannot
Absolutely.
be discouraged by the numbers. You
No.
can't quit just because your numbers are low. And I think that's what a lot of people do too. They, like you said, not just quit on doing the resale platform for that day, but some people just quit the business, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, it's just
Hmm.
not working for me. But you
Right.
got to put the time in,
Yep.
and the consistency, the time, the determination, and the intentionality. If you do that, it will build the business. You just got to
Absolutely.
give it. And then another thing you mentioned is that before you got started, one of the things that your mentor, I'm going to
Hmm.
call her your mentor,
Hmm.
she encouraged you is to go and look at other people's platforms, to do your own research, to study, to understand the field.
Yes.
And it's important that we do that because a lot of people, they just jump in. They
Yeah.
don't know anything. You just open a restaurant and you don't even know how to cook.
That
Barely
part.
know how to cook. You know how to cook some oatmeal and some eggs, and maybe barely know how to bake some chicken. But you
Right.
open up a full soul food restaurant and
Yes.
you expect it to succeed.
Hmm.
Then you have the ones that their food is great, but the customer service is terrible, or they don't know how to pump the food out in a timely manner.
That part. That part.
So it's something that you need to study on. Why is it taking you 45 minutes to get me a plate of food that
Hmm.
should only take 10 or 15?
Right.
It's because we don't fully know the craft. We don't fully understand and study all the aspects of the
Yep.
business to make it successful. We
Absolutely.
try to do everything in our own. And sometimes we just need to ask people, ask questions, research, get out there. Those who already know, hey, can you provide that information for me? Can you help
Hmm.
me with it? Can you tell me how you get that food out fast? What kind of system do you have in the back where you're able to get the plates done, get the food cooked, get the plates done, and get them out to the customers in
Yes.
15 minutes or
Yeah.
less
That
or
is
30
absolutely
minutes.
true. And it's
Mhm.
necessary for any line of business that you dive into. It's very important. And then also, you must know that in the world of the internet is fast and it's forever changing. You don't ever stop learning.
Right.
Even as an individual, you don't ever stop learning, and nor should you ever want to.
Right.
Especially in business, because there are always going to be a better process. So that's what I pay attention to as well. I might join a live of another reseller simply to just pay attention. Oh, because that's how I used to, when I started out, I would never give like pit to pit sizes. And that's really important because in clothing, especially women's clothing, a size large is not a size large in every brand,
Right.
especially
Right.
vintage. Because
Right.
vintage women were much, much smaller back
Mhm.
then, but the sizings on the clothing were different. Like you'll find a vintage sweater or dress that says a size 18 on the inside, and you're like, but the waist is a 26. How is this an 18? So you learn in order for you to increase your sales, because remember, it's not just, oh, I'm showing you this pretty dress or this pretty garment. In order for people to sort of close the deal, to buy the merchandise, not only does it have to be beautiful, it has to fit. Because yes, you want to profit, but you don't want people just buying stuff and then they get it and they can't fit it. So
Right.
I learned by watching, give pit to pit, give measurements, because it will help. It also helped me because people would be like, "Oh, this is a size large or extra large," and I get it, and I'd be like, "For a kid, because this can't fit me." So when they say pit to pit is 23 or higher, then I know, ding ding ding, I can fit it because my pit to pit is 23. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I
Mhm.
then do the same with my customers. I didn't do it in the very beginning, but I know it also eliminated that hesitation to buy stuff from like customers would be hesitant to buy or even ask during a live, like, can I get the measurements on that? Because some people will tell you, oh, I don't give measurements. It's just a large. That's not going to work.
Right.
That is not going to work. Like I've also learned that for me, I don't know if other resellers do it. I have some very high end merchandise. Like I have a pair of Prada shoes, Sophia Webster. I have a pair of $2,000 shoes that somebody sold for $5, and I don't think they realized that they were expensive shoes. I don't
Yeah.
show those type of items on a live because that's a lot of money to ask someone to pay, and you want to ensure that, again, yes, I want to make a profit, but I also, it's not just making a profit. I want my customer to like what they get, and then also I want them to return as a customer.
Yeah.
So it you know what I mean? It's more than just making a profit. So in order for me to sell a $500 shoe, I've decided those items don't get shown on lives. I save those items for when I pop-ups,
Okay.
so that way people can touch, they can feel, they can actually try on, and then they know without a shadow of a doubt, oh, this $500 shoe fits me.
Yeah.
So I can invest and spend this $500. So you got to learn, the do's and the don'ts and what will work. And again, you're always paying attention. You're always learning. Like I recently just upgraded my system because I was doing manual invoicing, and
Mhm.
I was like 3 years in, I'm tired of doing manual invoicing. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, but now I just want to hit a send, send, send. So I went from $14.99 to a program that's $24.99, and I invested in my business so that I can get back some of my time. So these are things you learn as you go.
Yeah.
You're always improving. You're always changing. Excuse me. And you also pay attention to the advice of your customers, and they'll let you know when something's not working. They'll let you know. And I think as long as you're willing and able to pay attention and be willing to adjust and change, yeah, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. Because also you mentioned, like how I said, sometimes you'll have only two people on your live, and and then one day you might have more, and then it goes back down to two or whatever. You then have to assess what am I doing? Is it me?
Right.
What can I change up? And some people don't, oh, I'm doing everything I need to do, so I don't get it. Are you doing everything you need to do? Like, are you? Maybe it's your lighting. I've seen people do live sales and the lighting is so dark. I'm like, well, I wouldn't buy nothing from on because I can't see it.
I
Like,
can't see.
you said it's green and it looked blue on my screen,
Right.
and blue ain't my color. So,
Right. Right.
it's things like that, paying attention and also being open to a respectful, decent, and in order, I always say, criticism.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that criticism will change something, improve something. Don't always take it as, oh, they're hating on me. No,
Right.
we're trying to help you and we're trying to, correct something that needs to be corrected. So you got to be open to that too. And you got to be willing to adjust because you can
Yeah.
start something in 2021 and then you find out in 2022, girl, did you hear they got a calendar thing, and you can, or Facebook. Remember when Facebook first started out, they didn't have where you can schedule your post.
Right.
Now you can take a Saturday or Sunday and schedule all your posts, and you ain't got to post every single day. So it
Mm-hmm.
makes life easier. So you take advantage of that, but that's being willing to adjust and to learn, and be open to learning. So absolutely, it's always important. Always important.
You got to be able to adjust and pivot.
Yes.
If and
Pivot.
that's
That's the perfect word, pivot.
yeah, and that's with every business. That's
Every.
with anything that you do, even if you're trying to write a book, because you never know what life brings.
Right.
Life be life, and child. So you don't know. So you have to be able to pivot in life,
Yeah.
and like you said, you can't be wearing your emotions on your sleeves when you're a business owner,
Mm-mm.
because you do have haters, but then you also have people that will try to help you
Yeah.
to do better, to be better, and to help you increase, the visibility for you, to bring in the customers and bring in the people to be able to see your products.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Absolutely.
don't know everything. If
No.
you're an entrepreneur and you think that you know it all, then good luck,
Right.
because
Good luck.
the world is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Our industries, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it is constantly changing. So you
Yeah.
have to you're constantly, like you said, learning new stuff. Even as me, being in motivation and inspiration and speaking and holding workshops for accountability, vision workshops, stuff like that. It is constantly changing,
Yeah.
constantly changing. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
um, so you have to definitely be willing to learn.
Yeah.
Willing to learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, as far as you jumping in, because you just jumped in. I'm jumping in. Okay. Were there any setbacks that you had when you jumped in? And did any of those setbacks turn out to be blessings?
um I would say a setback that I had was jumping into my business affected my household.
Okay.
And I say that because I jumped. I didn't quite um create a timetable because I also had a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite create a timetable like, okay, so on these days or during these hours, you work on your side business and then, so it doesn't interfere with your full-time job. I didn't do that. I was so excited and eager that I just jumped in, and then, my business took off, but the household responsibilities got pushed to the back. It got pushed to the back, hun. I wasn't cleaning. I wasn't, laundry would be in the dryer for 2 weeks and, things like that. Or I would take it out the dryer and dump it on the sofa and be like, I'm going to fold it. And then I, ding, got a notification. Oh, I got a sale. And then
Yeah.
packaging it up, and then I come from a world of Amazon Prime, so I would go to bed and notification, somebody bought something, and at 2 o'clock in the morning I'm up putting packages together. And then finally my boyfriend sat me down and said, listen, I'm excited for you, I support you, but at the same time, when you gonna cook? When are you gonna wash a dish? When you gonna fold them clothes? Like, can you go grocery shopping on a
Yeah.
Saturday? Because typically you used to go grocery shopping on Saturdays, and now on Saturdays you running out going to Goodwill, Salvation Army. You
Yeah.
ain't going to near food stores.
Right.
And he was like, also, you're losing sleep because you think you're Amazon Prime. You're gonna have to create a um a system where it's a work-life balance, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I went from, somebody buying something and feeling a need to ship it out the next day. I totally stopped that. Now I have in my verbiage on my invoices, once payment is received, your package will ship within 3 to 5 business days. That helps me. That gives me a little wiggle room to do some of the other responsibilities that I have outside of my business. And then, you know, I now move my business dealings to just sort of toward the end of the week, because I do work a full-time job, and then sometimes it can be very demanding. So that kind of gives me, you do your household chores and your house responsibilities and work if you need to stay late at work on a Monday, or, it helps that way on the weekends. Then I can sort of, even with doing my business on the weekends, I do it so that, okay, you only get to do 1 hour on a Saturday and or Sunday. 1 hour. Typically, I do them in the morning. That way, I still have the afternoon to clean the house, to go grocery shopping, to cook. So, whereas before, I'm so excited about live sales. I was doing 3 and 4 live sales a day on a Saturday and be burned out by 7, 8 o'clock at night. So,
Mhm.
I had to sort of, yeah, there was a setback. And then I was able to rework it, that it worked out, and it's much better now. I feel more relaxed, more calm. I'm not as stressed because, when you turn on that camera, it's not just, oh, I'm showing some clothes. You have to log all that merchandise in. You have to price it. You have to research it. You have to clean it. You have to
Yeah.
dry clean it. You got to steam it. You got to make sure you got the right hanger, and, so you got to take measurements. There is a whole lot of work that goes on before you go live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So figuring out, because you can get burned out real quick, real soon, and then, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, don't want to do it anymore. This is overwhelming. I can't. Everybody talk about being an entrepreneur. No, it doesn't work. It's too much. Well, that's because you're trying to do multiple things all at once. You got to figure out a system,
Yeah.
So, and I did that. And so that setback turned into, a sort of balance where everything now is streamlined and works out much better for me in my life. Yeah.
That's great. One thing I learned too, when I had my own consulting business
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, is to outsource work. Because
Hmm.
sometimes I was trying to do too much. I was trying to do too much for my clients and trying to do too much for me.
Hmm.
And that's how I would get burnt out all the time, because I was trying to do everybody's stuff and my stuff. And I
Hmm.
had to learn to delegate different responsibilities, take it off my hands. Because sometimes we get all, controlling and all, we don't want nobody touching my stuff and we don't
Hmm.
whatever. No, sometimes you need to delegate it so you
Yeah,
can take some task off yourself. Also,
absolutely.
creating a website, that's something that you can delegate. They're really inexpensive website platforms that you can use to create flyers or whatever, things that
Hmm.
you can take off your plate, which will give you more time someplace else in your life
Yeah,
or in your
absolutely.
day or in your week, also. So definitely. And then I want to talk real quick about work-life balance. People think that work-life balance means 50-50. It doesn't work out like that. Basically, you are balancing your task of basically what you have to do in your life so that you won't get overwhelmed.
Yep.
Now, sometimes it doesn't, and that may mean 60% work corporate job this week and 40% or 20% business and then 20% home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It could mean 80% this week of business, 10% or 20% of corporate or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a lot of people think it's 50-50. It doesn't work out like that. That would
No.
be great, but you have to be strategic in your planning. And that's another thing. We have to plan,
Yes.
because a lot of times we just do, and then stuff gets missed because we don't plan.
Yeah.
So I encourage my listeners, please map out you a daily plan or a weekly plan, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
I do. I do. And in the same way we map out, like for those who work a corporate job, the same way we plan our PTO, I do the same for my business.
okay.
Around my birthday. And as a matter of fact, last year I took the month of August off. I literally took the month of August off. I notify my customers, and I let them know, because you do need that time. And oh my gosh, it was a great time I had during that month, not having to worry about, sales or invoices or um now I love what I do, but I hate putting packages together. Oh, because it's only one person running this business. I'm the shopper, the seamstress, everybody. I'm the stock people. I'm the
Right.
packaging up and shipping. I do it
Yeah.
all. So I have to schedule time where I can just be like, you know what? I can't do that. Or like I said, I had to schedule, like I was doing a weekly live sale on a Wednesday on my own platform. And I realized real quick, I can't. That's still the middle of the week. I'm tired. I don't have that. And then it was like, well, if you remember, you only doing sales on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you have sales, you got to package those sales. So that means the only days you have to package them is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so I had to figure out a system that worked for me. And it's forever changing, during holiday, like during Christmas, I take time off. So then I can add some extra lives maybe on a Monday or a Tuesday because I'm off, but I'm not going anywhere,
Mhm.
So yes, I absolutely agree 1,000% that doesn't mean 50-50, and it doesn't always look the same every single week. It's forever changing, and you do have to be proactive at looking at your schedule ahead of time. Like, any retailer. Oh, Mother's Day. That's how they create their Mother's Day sales or their Father's Day sale. They don't wait till Father's Day or Mother's Day to come around and be like, oh, let's do a sale in honor of Mother's Day. No, they are preparing for it months in
Right.
advance. So I have to do the same thing.
Mhm.
Like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna take an opportunity to do a Mother's Day sale too. But in order for me to do that, I gotta think ahead. What are you gonna
Yep.
show on that Mother's Day or Valentine's Day? Like, you want to do an all red sale? Well, you gotta pull all red merchandise, So you do have
Right.
to prepare and you have to schedule yourself. So that is so important, and it's essential to anything in life. It'll create no, it will decrease the amount of stress that we put on ourselves. Because sometimes, like you said, we think we could do everything all the time, and it's just not possible. We get
Right.
burned out, and plus,
Right.
like me, I'm a little older. I
Right.
don't have the same energy I had when I was 20, and I require more hours of sleep now than I ever did in
Oh
my
yeah.
entire life.
Oh yeah. We got no spring chickens here.
Yeah, so
Um,
you definitely have to schedule, you have to plan, you have to think ahead, and it's okay to say, you know what? I'm a plan to do nothing.
yeah. Yeah.
To me, that's self care sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Doing nothing. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
talk on the phone. I just want to sit on myself and watch Netflix or something. And
You
I'm
do
quite
have
content.
to, yeah, you do have to do that from time to time, because one thing people do not, I shouldn't say everybody, some people, because I've heard this from friends, they don't think that content creation is a lot of work. They don't think that it is a lot of work because they just see the end product.
Right.
They don't see where we had to, like you said, you have to get the clothing, you got to iron the clothing or steam the clothing or wash the clothing, or you got to make sure your lighting is correct, you got to make sure your
Yeah.
cameras are set up, you got to write out your content or your live on how you want to present it. that is work. That takes
Yep.
hours and hours of work. Even for me, for my videos, I have to go through similar things. I have to write out what I'm going to say,
Right.
critique it, do my lighting and all of that. And sometimes you're recording over and over again because you made a mistake and like, okay, let me try it again. Then I got to edit it,
Right.
you know. That takes hours,
Sure does.
days, days,
That part.
especially when you work a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Absolutely.
are putting in the extra hours because we're basically working two jobs here. We're working a part-time and a full-time. We're really working two full-times. Let me put it like that. Because
Absolutely.
really, because like you say, you're putting in time on the weekends and stuff too. And so, anybody who's interested out there in getting into content creation, whatever you're deciding to do, get ready to work. We're not trying to tell you don't do it. We're just trying to tell you that you're going to have to come out with a strategy to balance out your week, your days, to
Yeah.
make sure that you don't get overwhelmed because it is a lot of work. I didn't think it was as much work as it was when I jumped into it. And then when I started really getting into it and wanting to improve things and do things better, then, oh yeah,
Yeah.
not like just jumping on a camera and saying, hey y'all, what's going on? How you doing? That's different. I'm
Yeah.
in the car. I'm just going to do a quick live. That's different.
Yeah.
But when you're
Very
doing it,
different.
make sure you provide something of quality, or for me, inspiration, truly inspirational, or something that is
Mhm.
truly helpful for
Yeah.
others. Then you're going to make sure that you give your best self and your best
Hmm.
or your
Absolutely.
best content. So,
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, they see these videos that only last a minute or 2 minutes. But they don't know because I used to do TikTok dance. I used to, I love music. So I would do, I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn that dance. It took me 2 hours to learn a routine and for a video that was only 30 seconds or a minute. I'm like, you only see that little, that video and think, oh, that's simple. You don't know it took them all day to get that 30-second video.
right,
So yeah,
right.
and content, especially content creation, I don't know anyone. I You do yourself a disservice thinking that it's just easy work because it's not. Which
Right.
is why so many have turned it into a business
Yeah.
because it is a job.
It is. It
it,
is.
it's
It
a job.
is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Now, with your business, what do you feel is harder, to sell a product or sell yourself?
Um, for me, only for me, I think it's harder to sell a product.
Okay.
I think my experience has been it's easy for me to sell myself because I literally am committed to showing up as myself. I don't
Yep.
try to put on, sometimes they say we code switch at work. Oh, hello. Whereas you see one of your girls be like, hey girl.
Right. Right.
I I get to be my authentic self without any reservations on my live. So who you see on a live is exactly who you're going to see when I'm out and about and I'm in the street and you bump into me or whatever. So I think it's easier for me to be myself and show up as myself and harder to sell an item. Again, I gotta prove to you that this is the item that you need in your closet as part of your wardrobe, honey. So let me listen. It's beautiful. It's silk, honey. It's gonna be eye catching. They gonna talk. It's definitely a conversation piece. Like you do so much, and you use terminologies to sort of entice the
Yeah.
viewer to get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's much harder. That is
Yeah.
much harder because and I tell you it's harder because there are times when you show something, you do all of that, and nobody buys it, right? And then
Mhm.
somebody come along and they be like, "Well, can you show that again?" So now, and then this is here it is. This is the seal of deal. And then you go in again. So that's it's almost like you're convincing, I hate to
Yeah.
use that terminology, but you're convincing
Yeah.
this person that this is something that they need. That's much harder. That's
Yeah.
much harder. It's like knocking on somebody's door. You need a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
And this is why you need one. because the current one you got ain't working right. It's not doing what you bought it to do. Like, so yeah, you working, you're trying to convey a message. That's much harder than me just showing up saying, hey, I'm Tanya, and da da, because I'm not showing you for a full 30 minutes or an hour me.
Right.
I'm not saying you have to buy what's on my body. You have to accept me. You ain't really there for me. For the first 5-10 minutes you are, but after that it's about the clothes. So
Right.
yes, the merchandise, but your personality must be on point, because customers will tell you, I ain't shopping with her. She was boring. She wasn't engaging.
Yeah.
She was this, she was, so they're paying attention. So that's a small percentage of it, but ultimately getting someone to buy something, that's a lot of work. It's not easy. It's not. Especially those garments that don't show up very well on camera.
Okay.
Those are the most challenging things, because you'll start to see, I couldn't figure out, I was like, how do I work around that? So now what I do is I sort of give like a little pre-show or a a little sneak peek, if you will, of a garment. And I show them, I try to find a stock photo or an image of that garment on a real person's body, because when I hold it up on camera, it doesn't look like anything. And
Yeah.
I'm not buying that. What is
Yeah.
that? But then when you actually get to see an image of it, you're like, oh, that's the same dress. Oh yeah, girl, let me get that. So you have to, yes, much harder to showcase stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No doubt.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen stuff in stores and I'm like looking at it on the hanger and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
But then I go and put it on. It's like, hold up, wait a minute now. This kind of
This
cute
is
right
cute.
here.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
I tell you, I've had things where I keep showing it. And then one day it just hit me. Find this dress or this jacket online. And I promise you, I've had sales, not even a live sale, for me just posting the picture of the item and saying, hey, I have this same garment in this size. It's this price. And people say, I want it now. And
mm,
I'd be like, now I showed this 5 times on a live and it didn't sell. And those are the things, like, again, learning,
yeah,
observing, paying attention to what works. Because a lot of
yeah,
people just do lives and think that's it. No, sometimes you have to show pictures of that garment or give them or try it on. That's another
yeah,
thing. A lot of people wouldn't try on merchandise on a live. I try stuff on if I can.
yeah.
I'm not trying to be, show all my business, but if I can try something on and it's my size or maybe a little bit larger, I can show you that it fits, or, and people like that. That changes. So you're much harder. I can't stress that enough.
I got you. I got you.
Mhm.
So, have you had any aha moments in your business, that something that completely changed how you approach selling or branding your business?
Ooh, that's a great question. Any aha moments that changed how I approach selling? Um, I'm gonna yes. Um, when I first started, like I was doing manual. I was up until recently. I was doing manual invoicing, and it was taking a great deal of time to produce these invoices. And someone said to me, on the system that you use to capture the claims, there's this feature that says live commenting. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah. So you can literally see every comment. It's like a transcript of your live sale. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that, because I would be looking for, say, like an email address for an invoice, and reaching, oh, you didn't send your email, you didn't type your email. And someone was like, you can literally look at live comments and see whether or not that person actually left an email address. So that was an aha moment for me because one, it eliminated so much time I was wasting on
Mhm.
trying to contact that person. Because oftentimes you have people that watch your live and shop your live that you're not friends with. So now you try to reach out to them and it says, we're not friends. So you got to hope to God that they get your message in a DM. And then also, that same person was like, and then there's another feature where if they registered, they're required to enter their email address. It was like I pay for this system, but I did. So like you when you get a new phone, you don't look through everything. You, as long as I can make calls and receive calls and put Facebook on it and get a text message, I'm good.
Mhm.
But you don't
Right.
realize you got all these beautiful features that can improve your life or whatever it is that you're doing, but you don't tap into them. And that was exactly what happened with, we refer to it as lawyer shops. Happened with lawyer shops. Another reseller was like, you can make your life so much easier if you just take a minute to review all of the features that this program is offering. So that was an aha moment for me because it improved
Mhm.
my business, how I produced and created invoicing, and my correspondence with customers, because you would get a little frustrated. Like, now I say 5 times during the live, I need your email address. Why wouldn't you type it? So y'all don't pay attention nor follow direction. So then hey, you didn't type your email address, and they'll reply back, yes, I did. And I'm like, no, you didn't. I don't see it. And so yes, and that was an aha moment for me because I didn't know that these features existed for me, and I hope that's my example, because that. I mean, and to this day, I still thank that person for that, just because she didn't have to tell me,
Yeah.
and I probably would
Yeah.
still be trying to reach out to him on DM and Facebook and smoke signals, and that improved so much. That was such a aha moment, and it was right in front of my face. And when we talked about learning, you're learning, it's improving your business. So that all, came full circle
Yeah.
for me. So definitely a huge aha moment for me in my business. It has changed it in so many wonderful ways.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I believe it. You know, technology, it's funny because we're always fussing at kids about reading and making sure you understand things. But then folks like our age, we get into technology and all these different things with all these different apps and how you do this and how you do that and understand this program and that
Mhm.
program. You know, back in the day, you could just jump in and just go with it. You know, you kind
Right.
of just learn the flow. Now you got to really understand it and pay attention, like you said, to extra buttons and stuff like that. I'm guilty of that. I
Mhm.
have programs that I pay for on a monthly, Canva, and I just use it basic,
Ooh, I
but
love
it can do
Canva.
a whole bunch. Yeah, I mean, I love it too, but I just use it. I made a video with it, a training video with
Mhm.
it, and mostly flyers or posts or something like that. But it can do so much more, you
Mhm.
know, if I actually take the time to sit down and read and understand what are its other features,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
Um, and that's the same thing with the phone. With the phone, anytime I get a new phone, I'm calling Karen to, hey, how do you work this? What can I do this with this? You know, I had to ask my nephew one day because I couldn't find my AirPods. And I said, hey, where is the feature that shows me where I can ding my AirPods so I can go find? And you know, it doesn't take them any time. They're like, do, 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 do.
Right.
Okay, it's dinging. Do you hear it? I'm like, dang, you know, he only hit about 2 screens and it was like,
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So, you know, they stay up with the trends. So I
Yeah.
just try to stick with the young people because they keep me young. So,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
And like I said,
Yeah.
there's always something. I mean, I discovered StreamYard. Have you heard of StreamYard?
Mhm.
Just a platform where you can do, instead of using Facebook for live, like Facebook Live, you can go live on StreamYard or Zoom. It's almost like a Zoom. It's clear, it's precise, and what I love about it is that the comments, you can post it and everybody can see it, and it's quite, but again, I was like, I didn't know that this existed. And it's, they have a free program. Of course, they have paid subscriptions too. But it's also, there's so many different things, so
Oh
many
yeah.
different things. And,
You
I
know,
love
something that
those
I
who
got
like
you
to
on.
share,
Yeah.
who don't gatekeep on stuff,
Ah,
and because, my mentor poured into me. I always lead with that when I'm dealing with other resellers and they ask questions. I always keep that, at the front of my mind, is that someone poured into me. So,
mhm.
you got to pour into them. It's like someone asked me the other day, oh my God, invoicing, and how do you do the all followers or da 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 da? And I show her the same thing, that the person
Yeah.
showed me with the live comments. I was like, you can use these features. She didn't know either. She was like, I
Okay.
paid for this service and I had no idea. And I was like, honey, I've been there, done that. So, I take that and I lead with that because my mentor didn't have to do that. We were strangers. And
Right.
so I'm never going to gatekeep on anything because one, I believe what God has for me is for me. It's nothing I can tell you about something that I did that brought me some achievement or success that I feel like if I share it with you, I'm no longer going to be able to have access to that success. It's not going to happen. Sorry, I'm that confident in my God that I don't believe
I know
anything
that's
I
right.
share with you is going to tamper or taint something that I got going on. Sorry.
Right. Right. And plus there's, I mean, millions of people out here. Like you said, what is for you is for you. So, I'm not trying to compare myself to other people.
Nope.
I'm just trying to do me and utilize the gift that God has given me.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
whoever it reaches, then it reaches, and what doors it opens, that's a blessing. And I
Absolutely.
would count it all as a blessing. So
Amen to
we got
that.
to support each other. We got to help each other. Um,
Absolutely.
mhm,
And not
mhm.
be fearful. Like I said, because I think oftentimes there's this, well, I had to learn it. So the same way I had to learn it, you got to
Yeah.
learn it. Well,
Mhm.
you mean to tell me you learned something? Yes. Maybe God put that on you to learn so that you can be that vessel for someone else. But no,
Right.
you want to gatekeep it because your attitude is, well, I had to learn all the steps. Why am I going to make it easier for you?
Right.
The same way you learned it, you probably researched it on YouTube University, like, and you didn't like create a system to figure it out. You researched and learned how to do it easier or make it easier for you. So why wouldn't you help this person so they can help that person so they can have so that more of us can win and achieve success instead of just one person? You know,
I
I
agree.
but there are people who are selfish and they're God is still working on them. But
I
yeah,
agree.
I'm always a sharer, and sometimes I might share too much, but that's because I like when people are able to do.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Yeah.
really, really do like that. And if I can make someone's life a little bit easier by something I've learned, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely, it
Right.
takes
Because
nothing
it's
from
not all
me.
about you. You
Yeah,
enjoy seeing other people succeed also. Yeah.
absolutely,
Because there's enough room out here for all of us to
for
succeed.
all of us,
Hmm. Yeah.
every single one.
Hmm. I
Yep.
agree. I
Even
agree.
if the success looked the same, it's still yours is yours, and that person, whatever is theirs. It
Right.
it doesn't compromise one another, and I
Right.
think people need to understand that because I can't tell you how many times I've asked certain people for help, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know," and I'm like, "Huh? You don't
But
know?
you're doing it.
You're doing it." And I'd be like, okay, well, and then I go to someone else and they're like, oh girl, get on the phone. Let me show you how this is done.
Right.
So you take that and you share it with the next person. And I think, and it creates a domino effect, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm.
And it's a blessing. I think it's a blessing. And I think when you don't do it, you block your blessings, honestly,
I
because
think,
you
I
don't know
think so.
what blessing is tied to you blessing someone else,
That's
you
right.
know,
I agree. I
big
agree.
or small.
I agree. I agree. Now, where do you envision D Style Loft in the next few years?
Ooh, great question. So I do have a website, dstyleoff.com, and I want it to grow. I want it to expand. I created my own website, because I knew I needed another what do you call a stream of revenue, or another way to make money while I sleep, basically.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
created my website. It's nice, but it can improve. Like, but again, I didn't let, because a lot of people want perfection from the jump, and I knew I couldn't get perfection. I know at the moment I was like, I'm not gonna spend thousands of dollars to have someone design my website. I'm gonna do it myself. It took
Right.
forever. Um, and it's basic, but my thing is, you ain't going in there to look for aesthetics. You're going there to look for the merchandise. As long as the pictures of the merchandise are clear, that's great. But eventually, I want to be able to sort of pull back a little bit from doing live sales, whereas I show a link from my website for an item, and then you
Okay.
click on the link and it just buys. I mean, you just purchase it that way. That's my goal, so that I can get more of my time back for during the week, so it doesn't feel like I'm working two jobs almost. So that's my goal, to build my engagement up on my website. And then also, I promote sisterhood, and I love to host brunches. One brunch I hosted, it was 32 women,
Okay.
and that was awesome because I'm big on sisterhood. So continue with that, and hopefully take D style
Yeah.
ups.
Okay.
um, because there are several people here that they join forces with one or two other people, and they host their own pop-up. So now they're the vendor that you pay to bring your merchandise out, and I'm like, well, why can't I do that? So I'm literally looking into how I can do that, like what area in Atlanta would be a great area for, like, once a month, have a bunch of different vendors come out and sell their merchandise. So I'm looking to expand in that way, expand my business, and
That's
yeah, and
nice.
eventually maybe a podcast, because I'm sure you've seen where I've done, like, I've interviewed resellers, and a lot of people are like, you need to start a podcast. But again, work-life balance, I don't have time to fully commit to that just yet. So if I can change one thing and make room for it, then I will implement it. But those are the things that I see for my business: growing sisterhood. Last year, as you know, I was nominated as Thrift Sister of the Year. So I'm
Woo!
sort of
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm definitely all about sisterhood. So yes, I love to sell clothes. I love for women to look good, feel beautiful, but just sort of take that in a different direction, or in a direction in addition to what I'm already doing for
Yeah.
these style off, and my clients all over, because I got people that shop from all over the place. I even have one person in Barbados. So I love it. So just to
Wow.
expand
That's
and
wonderful.
keep growing and thriving, and doing what I'm supposed to do as a woman, and of course, keep people laughing. In addition to my business, I have my morning funnies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I enjoy those. I
Yeah.
enjoy those. When I get on Facebook, I do. If I have time to read it, then I do. Little
And
crazy. And I'm like, what is she talking about?
yes. And it's
Shoot.
just, because in the world that we live in this time, there's so much going on. As we know,
Mhm.
January has been a very difficult month for so many tragedies. And so,
Mhm.
in the mornings, if I could just bring a little sunshine to, friends and family, that's my goal. It's really, and sometimes when I say something, I be like, now I eat that. But it's funny to say to make it
And people
appear
be
that
getting
I
upset
don't.
now. People getting upset. You be getting in people.
I had to tell her, I said, this is just jokes. I do eat this as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just to make you laugh and giggle in the morning. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, in closing, I just want to ask you, what is one lesson you've learned about success that you wish more aspiring entrepreneurs understood?
One thing I learned about success that I wish other entrepreneurs would share with others is that it doesn't always happen overnight.
Mm.
It doesn't always happen within a week, a month, a year. Perfect example, Tabitha Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, for years and years and years, she was trying to be an actress and it did not happen. And so, if you are someone who is grounded in faith, you truly and truly understand that God's timing is not our timing, and it happens when it's supposed to happen based on His schedule, not ours. And
Right.
so, in the meantime, while it's happening, you do everything necessary to align yourself so that when it does happen, you'll be well in position to manage it, to keep it, to grow it, expand it. A lot of times people want things overnight and then they don't take the proper steps
Right.
to position themselves for the blessing. And then when they get the blessing, it just falls apart. And
Right.
as soon as they got it, it went away. And
Right.
so to sustain it, you got to do the work. And be prepared. It might, like I learned when I first started out, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm leaving corporate America in like 2 years. Well, I did say at some point in this podcast that I've been doing this for 3 years and I still work a full-time job. So clearly that did not happen.
Yep. I totally agree. I've heard a lot of people say work hard, but work wise, meaning don't kill yourself. Don't despise the small beginnings, because there's a lot of lessons in the small beginnings that, like you just said, you need to succeed. You need those to succeed for when the big break comes. So you will be properly prepared for it. So we need this wisdom along the way. So don't quit, don't give up, don't despise the small things. Take it one day at a time. Use wisdom, wisdom, seek knowledge, so that you can understand more about your craft of whatever you want to do. Get a plan, map you out a strategy for success. And remember, not, like you said, it's not going to happen overnight. But keep being diligent, intentional, and determined, and you will succeed. You will succeed. Don't give up. Keep the faith, and you will succeed. Well, Tanya, I thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed taking time out to talk to you about D.E.E Loft and about your entrepreneur endeavors. And I wish you well, continue blessings, and hopefully you'll come back to the show again and chat it up, after, and let us know what's going on with the latest, all your new adventures and all of that. So thank you to my podcast family for joining us today. Everyone be blessed. Stay encouraged, speak life, and soar.